Hey YouTube, Kira's Twig here, bringing you guys my updated Predaplant deck profile for August 2017. We got one card of new support in Ko the Duelist, but I've also made some changes to the deck just to help speed up its consistency during Link format. It can get out a lot of monsters, and most of the time I've realized you only really have one fusion monster out at a time with this deck anyway. Mostly a Rafflesia or, that rare Starving Venom occasionally together. But like I said, most of the time just one monster. But Link Summoning does help to get the multiples out when you can. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the deck profile. To start off, I run 3 Predaplant Yugioh Scorpio. This is a really good card for the deck for just the swarming that it can do. When it's normal or special summon, you can send one monster from your hand to the graveyard to special summon one Predaplant monster from your deck, except for Predaplant Scorpio. You can only use this effect of Scorpio once per turn. So with this card's effect, you're able to fill up your graveyard with certain Predaplants that you might be able to revive with cards like Preda pruning or stuff like that. But most of the time, you're going to want to go for your target for special summon, which is Predaplant Darling Tanya Cobra. If this card is special summoned by the effect of a Predaplant monster, you can add one polymerization spell card or fusion spell card from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect once per duel. So it can grab the polymerization, and with having this and Scorpio on the field, you have your requirements for your Starving Venom Fusion Dragon right then and there, or the Predaplant Fusion Monster, depending on what you want to go for. It's just one of the easiest setups you can do with the deck, and it's really consistent. Scorpio is just too good of a card to run in the deck. And I run 3 Predaplant Clemenza. This level 2 monster. Monsters with Predaplant counters that you use as a fusion material are treated as dark, and during your main phase you can fusion summon one dark fusion monster from your extra deck using this card on the field, and monsters from your hand, field, and or monsters with a Predaplant counter on your opponent controls as fusion materials. You can only use the effect of Clemenza once per turn. So the fact that you can use your opponent's monsters is very helpful with this card. It's just for the easy fusion summon, no polymerization required either. Too good, taking their necessary monsters as well. All they have to do is have a Predaplant counter, and that's very easy to acquire in this deck. One of my favorites for setup is Predaplant Sera. Sorry if I do mispronounce these names. They are pretty wicked when it comes to naming. When an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, you can special summon this card from your hand, and then after damage calc, if this card battled an opponent's monster, you can destroy that opponent's monster, and if this card is destroyed, basically on the field and sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can add one Preda card from your hand except Predaplant Sera. You can only use the effect of Sera once per turn. Now, if I do remember correctly, I do think it says basically this card is destroyed by battle or it's sent on the field by a card effect. So yeah, if it is battle or card effect, I want to make sure, because I knew I was doing some effects that involved being it destroyed by battle and I got the search off. I knew it wasn't just card effect, but too good for the search and destruction of capabilities that this card possesses. Being able to take out some of your opponent's annoying monsters with this card is definitely needed with this deck. It's sort of like a really Predaplant-like battle fader for the deck. And I also run 3 of the new Predaplant Banksy Ogre. This card is also a tuner, which I find quite interesting. It's like Yuri used this card in the anime to get out Clearwing Synchro Dragon and use it and basically arm in arm with Starving Venom Dragon. And this card, you can special summon it from your hand by tributing one opponent's monster with a Predaplant counter. And if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you place one Predaplant counter on each face-up monster your opponent controls. And if you do, any of those monsters that are level 2 or higher become level 1 as long as they have the counter. So the special summon is very easy. All you need to do is, get the counters out on the field, and then you can special summon. It is the level 6 tuner, so all you have to do is use one of your level 1 monsters, and you'll have your Clearwing Synchro. Or I also run Black Rose. This card's too good since the Predaplants are plant-type monsters as well. And just the special summon of this card, he's a 2000k attack monster, which means he's a pretty heavy beater compared to a lot of the Predaplant monsters in this deck. And being able to recycle your opponent's monsters and put new Predaplant counters on them really helps as well. Also, 2 Predaplant Cordyceps, another level 1. During your standby phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Target 2 level 4 lower Predaplant monsters in your graveyard, special summon them. Also, for the rest of this turn, you cannot special summon the monsters except for fusion or nor normal summon or set any monsters. So he's good setup as well. A good way to get into the graveyard is by Scorpio and then, rely on him later on, or by the other effects that, just can manipulate it, even just by fusion summoning him or being just simply sent to the graveyard. You'll have him to use for resources later on. And also 2 Predaplant Drosophila Hydra. Like I said, these names are quite crazy. You can special summon this card from your hand or graveyard by attributing one monster on either player's field with a Predaplant counter. You can only special summon this card once per turn this way. During either player's turn, if this card on the field or in the graveyard, you can banish one other Predaplant monster from your graveyard, then target one face-up monster on the field. It loses 500 attack. You can only use the effect once per turn. So he's a good special summon target again. I've been debating on how many of him I want to run. I might actually reduce his number for Squid Dressrosa, just because I really do think Banksy Ogre is a better card. But the number might drop down to just 1 for another one of him. I'm still doing a little bit of play testing to see for sure how that method will go. Also 2 Predaplant Spidonia. This card, if it's normal or special, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls, place a Predaplant counter on it, and if it is level 2 or higher, decrease its level by 1 as long as it has a Predaplant counter. After damage calc, if this card battled an opponent's monster with an equal or lower level, you can special summon one Predaplant monster from your deck, except for Spidonia. I might even bump him up to 3 just for the normal summon aspect, for the fact that he's basically your normal summon in the deck, unless you're going for cards like Flytrap, which we'll get to in a sec. Just because you have Scorpio for the special summon of another monster, which he can take up the normal summon at times, but for your backup normal summons, this is a good one to rely on. Also, 2 Predaplant Flytrap. This card has a once per turn effect for the Predaplants by placing a Predaplant counter on a face-up monster your opponent controls. And when it battles a monster with an equal or lower level than this card, you destroy that monster, then increase this card's level by the original level of the destroyed monster. So, in a sense, kind of a catastrophe-like effect with the destruction capabilities of this card. Very easy since, most of them will become level 1 because of the Predaplant counters. And 1 Predaplant Squid Dressrosa, that's how you pronounce it. You can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, then target one face-up monster you control. This turn it can attack all monsters your opponent controls with Predaplant counter once each, and if this face-up card leaves the field, place one Predaplant counter on each special summon monster your opponent controls, and if you do, any of those monsters that are level 1 or higher become level 2 or higher become level 1. So just another good way. I like the ones that really, lay on the counters to the special summon monsters. Just gets them on quite faster, so you can use your other abilities that rely on the counters, which is why I might bump up Dressrosa, or Dressrosa, there we go. I really do apologize for those name mistakes. That's it for the Predaplant monsters. I also run 3 Lonefire Blossom, pretty standard. They're all plant-type monsters with no basic, special summon limits. So this card just helps you to grab what you need for the specific situations. I'm also running 1 Kaleo Clock Row. This card, if you control a dark monster, which is what all the Predaplant monsters are, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon one once per turn this way. Just another additional way to easily get out of dark monsters so you can get out your Starving Venom. And also 1 Lunalight Black Sheep for the additional search for the polymerizations in this deck. Plus it's a dark monster, so you can also rely on this for special summoning Starving Venom if you really needed to. And that is it for the monsters in the deck. A heavy monster count, but it does work extremely well in my opinion, just with the consistency of getting the monsters out and getting your spell searches off. Works all too well. Moving on to spells, 3 Polymerization. Now if you wanted to run 1 Fusion Substitute, since you do, have the monsters on the field with Starving Venom, so you'd have to use it anyway in that sense, and then you have the recycling power. You could do that as well by just swapping one of these out for the Fusion Substitute. And 3 Predaponics. Now this card I've been thinking about dropping down to 2 just to throw in a 3rd Preda Pruning, because Preda Pruning is way too good just with the special summon effect of a monster from your graveyard. First, faster monster, summoning. But anyway, Predaplant lets you also special summon from your hand or graveyard, but its effects are negated, and if it leaves the field once per turn during your standby phase, you also have to pay 800 life points or destroy this card. So both have the good special summoning aspects. I guess in a sense it's just preference of what you want for the card. Preda pruning, just, you know, like I said, it's an equip activation, and equip with this card. It's not a once per turn either, which I find really good. It's just when it leaves the field, you know, destroy that monster kind of sense. And also 3 Allure of Darkness. There are plenty of darks in this deck to make full use of this card, so you can't go wrong there. And also to wrap up, 1 Refusion, just so you can grab back your special summon monsters that are fusions in the graveyard, and 1 Upstart Goblin to wrap up the consistency for draw in the deck. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra. I run 2 Star Venom Fusing Dragon. This card requires 2 dark monsters on the field, except for tokens, to summon him out. He has a monster copying effect. He can gain attack equal to a special summon monster on the field, and when he leaves the field, he basically destroys all special summon monsters on the field. Too easy to get out in this deck with some pretty good 2,800 to 2,000 stats. Your main monster that you'll go into most of the time. And 2 Chimera Felicia. This card just needs 1 Predaplant monster and 1 dark monster. Another good card for the equip effect to make use of in the deck. And then the beefed up version is Greedy Venom Fusion Dragon. Now this one has the reduced effect for attack for one of your opponent's monsters, and it also can come back to the field. All you have to do is banish, I think, one of its fusion materials in the graveyard, 2 special summon it back, so banish like Starving Venom or something like that, and he'll return 3,300 attack. I think he is quite possibly one of the highest attack point evolved forms of the monsters, including, you know, Dark Requiem, Crystal Wing. He stands tall as, I think, the powerhouse above all of them. But like I said, I think Starving Venom is also that strength with 500 attack point boost. He's just keeping the trends of those monsters. And also 1 Clearwing Synchro Dragon. Like I said, Yuri got this card out in the anime, so it is very plausible to make use of this with the level 6 tuner that is in the deck. Same with Black Rose Dragon, just to, like I said, use with the plant monsters. And then for the Exceeds, I run 1 Phantom Knight of Cursed Javelin, plenty of level 2s to make use of for Exceed summons in the deck. Same with some of the level 4s, so I run 1 Dark Rebellion and 1 Castell. I might actually remove you know, some of them for a rank 1, maybe Slacker Magician, take out 1, just have Castell, because those plays seem to go off more, and if not that, a rank 3 to go with the Scorpio plays, which seem to be a little more consistent as well. But it's all just preference down to the end. And then for the Link monsters, 2 Decode Talker. I do get this card out sometimes, but most of the time I do rely on the Fusion Summon. It's good just to have the backups in the deck to rely on. Same with Firewall Dragon and Topologic Bomber Dragon. I don't honestly go into these too much, but like I said, they're always good to have and not need them, since most of the cards you do go into are the Fusion monsters that I showed, and the Synchros as well. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Once again, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And until next time, Kira Twig out.